Golden Radio Hour.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Good evening, friends. This is Raymond, your host. Welcome again to the Inner Sanctum. Come in, won't you? You'll have to excuse me for not getting up, but I have an awfully stiff neck. You see, I was out with a certain lady last night who collects very curious things. She spent the first half of the evening telling me how wonderful I am, but after that, well, it's one thing when a girl tries to turn your head. It's another when she tries to twist it off. And now, friends, let me introduce someone who is a real lady. She must be a lady because she wants to reform me. Come in, Mary Bennett.
Hello, folks.
Draw up a coffin and sit down, Mary.
Now, Mr. Raymond, please don't talk that way. It is nice. Why are you always pretending to be so cold-hearted and creepy? Underneath, I'm sure you're a friendly, good-natured sort of man. Yes, you are. Underneath, you're just like everybody else. I'll bet you like to come home in the evening, put on an old jacket and slippers, and then sit down to supper. Yes, sir, and I'll bet I know one of your favorite dishes, too. Noodle soup. For most all men like noodle soup. That's why Lipton's is so popular. Lipton's noodle soup is real homemade tasting. It's got a grand chickeny flavor, and it's swimming with noodles. Egg noodles, too. You know, Lipton's noodle soup will bring a family swarming to the table quicker than a dinner bell. Mr. Raymond, someday I'm going to take you home with me and feed you a good hot bowl of Lipton's noodle soup.
Well, thanks for the invitation, Mary. And now let me invite you to come to the desert and hear the story of Desert Death. It's an original tale written by that spinner of surprise stories, Robert Newman. And our star tonight is Horace Braham. Desert, eerie and mysterious at sundown. The sun sinking slowly in a purple haze. The cactus casting long and weirdly twisting shadows. The hot winds still. Silence over all. Driving fast, a dusty car comes down the narrow desert road. At the wheel is Dan Darrell, a rancher. Next to him is his Indian friend, Toby Priest.
Still worrying, Toby?
Stop teasing me, Dan. You know I never did worry. I just told you what my people used to think it meant.
Used to think. Didn't you say we ought to postpone our trip into town today?
I did.
And when did you say it? Right after you saw them. 3 vultures lying together toward the sunset. That means 3 days. A bad omen for a journey. Hey. Look.
I see him.
What's a man doing out here in the middle of nowhere on foot? Anything the matter, stranger? Need any help?
You're very kind. Our car broke down, and, well, we were in a bit of a spot. Didn't know whether anyone would be likely to come along here or not.
We? Oh, I didn't see your friends. Well, come in. We're going to Palo Verde. We're glad to take you that far.
Well, that's very decent of you. Thanks.
Thank you. My name's Darrell, Dan Darrell, and this is Toby Priest.
Well, I'm very happy to know you. I'm Richards. This is Brennan and Smith.
How do you do? Howdy. You're British, ain't you?
Why, yes. Clever of you to spot it. We're on our way out to the coast. One of those hush-hush missions. That's why it's so important we get into town.
Oh, sure. Which way'd you come? Medicine Creek or Route 12?
Why, Medicine Creek. It sounded more scenic.
He's lying, Dan. You know that, don't you?
What makes you say that, Toby?
Use your head. He doesn't look.
Mr. Darrell, Surely it's considered rude to whisper in front of strangers, even here in America, isn't it?
What? Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'm sure you will be. But first I must insist on knowing what you were saying.
Insist? What you mean, insist? This is my car, and this is
I know. A free country. But this is a gun. That's why I can insist. And now, will you tell me what you were saying?
I was saying it, so I'll tell you. I said you were lying, that you weren't British at all.
No? Then who are we?
I think that you're Nazi prisoners who escaped from that camp up near Post City.
Oh? And what makes you think that?
First, none of your clothes fit you, so they're obviously not yours. Second, you said your car broke down, but there wasn't any car around. Third, you said you came by way of Medicine Creek, and that road's closed.
All right. Stop the car and let us get it over with.
You mean shoot them? Not so quick, Bernard. We can use them for a while yet. At least one of them.
What the devil do you mean?
Of course, your Indian friend is right. Very clever, too. But since I have a gun, you will take orders from me. Our first need is water. You have any in the car?
No.
And then we will have to find some.
Yeah? Where'd you expect to find water in the desert?
I told you we were Nazis, Darrell. I did not tell you that we were Rommel's men from the Africa Corps. That means we know the desert, any desert, better than anyone on Earth. Those hills off there to the left. Take the left-hand road at that fork there and head toward them. But do as I say.
How much further you want me to go up this wagon track?
Slow up. Isn't that yes, the shack right next to the cliff. Stop.
Looks deserted, but there, next to it. Is that not a well?
It should be. Brenner, go see if there's any water in it.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel.
You two come with us. We'll go look at the shack. What is this place? Those terraces up there on the cliff.
Pueblo. Cliff dwellings. Centuries ago, my people lived in villages like this.
There is water in it, Herr Colonel. Even a bucket to get it up with.
Good. Come into the house. Match, Schmidt. From the dust, I'd say no one had been here for a good many years. Prospector's cabin, wasn't it?
Probably.
That means... there's what I want. Shovel.
What the devil do you want that for? Want to dig yourself a grave?
Yes, Darrell, exactly. But not for me.
Huh? What you mean?
Precisely what I said. Sit down. Make yourselves comfortable, and I will explain things to you.
I'll stand if you don't mind.
Oh, not at all. We Nazis are very objective, analytical people. We decided we needed a car to make our escape in. Now we have one. We also decided we needed someone to drive the car and get us safely across the border. That means we can use one of you. The other one will die.
You wouldn't dare.
My dear Darrell, outside of the thousands of men we killed in North Africa, who don't count, we killed at least 2 guards in making our escape. Do you really think one more death means anything to us? The only question is, which of you shall die?
This one here. He talks too much.
Well, that's not quite fair, Brenner. He's just, shall we say, less stoical than the Indian. On the other hand, I think that in the long run, he would probably prove easier to handle, less dangerous. That means that the Indian dies.
What? Why, you...
Shut up, you...
Thank you, Brenner. Schmidt, take the gun, the shovel, and our Indian friend, and watch over him while he digs his grave. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Of course, I personally would prefer a deeper grave, but that's up to you.
The depth is not important. The only thing that matters is that it faces west. That is why I dug it with the head against the cliff. An old tribal custom.
Very interesting. Similar to the Egyptians. But of course, they believed in a life after death.
My people believe in a life after death also, Colonel. And in this case, I think I can promise that I will not rest easy in my grave.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Hear this, too, men from across the seas. Men with death in your hearts. For the evil you would do, evil will follow you like a hungry wolf.
What is that?
What he just mentioned. A wolf.
Though you bury me deep, the earth will not hide me till you have paid for your crimes. Here where you have killed, here too will you die.
Now, Herr Colonel.
Yes, Brenner.
Oh, you can't, you.
Very good, Schmidt. I'll take the gun now. Till in the grave, then meet us back at the cabin.
What a place. It's worse than Qatar.
I wish you'd sit down, Darrell, and stop staring out of the window.
You're worried about your friend. I buried him very nicely. I'm not worried about him. I'm thinking about what he said before you killed him. I should think that you think about it, too. That? We have had more curses laid on us in more languages than you have hairs on your head.
What's that?
Must be the wind. No, it is different. More like some kind of musical instrument. But there's no one around here but us. There hasn't been anyone living in those houses up on the cliff for centuries.
It's just the wind, I tell you. But if you want to, go take a look. Go take a look, I said.
Jawohl, Herr Koll.
It's too dark. There's too much sand blowing to see anything. But wait. Over there near the foot of the cliff, there's something. It looks like... Oh, God. It's the Indian. He's lying there, out of his grave.
Oh, you bury me deep. The earth will not hide me till you have paid for your crimes. Here where you are killed, here too will you die.
A 100 curses in a dozen different tongues. Perhaps they did mean 3 deaths. If so, who are the others that'll die and who will live?
Gosh, Mr. Raymond, this is exciting.
What? Oh, Mary Bennett, I've overlooked you in all this desert. Tell me, Mary, whom do you hope will die, huh?
Well, I don't like to see anybody killed. But those Nazis sure ought to be clapped in jail.
Mm-hmm. And deprived of their Lipton's noodle soup, aren't they?
Well, I should say. Lipton's noodle soup is much too good for fellas like them. It belongs to law-abiding folks who've got a right to sit down to a plate of homemade tasting soup. And say, that's just the kind of noodle soup you get when you use Lipton's. Lipton's is the noodle soup with the old-fashioned flavor, you know, brimming with noodles and blessed with a real chickeny taste. Yes, it takes Lipton's to show how good a noodle soup can be.
Now, Mary, don't get so excited. Stay calm. Why don't you go and perch on that tombstone over there while I go on with the story of death in the desert? I'm warning you, if I do go on, you'll be seeing strange sights and hearing strange sounds every time you put out the lights. But it's your funeral. It's just a moment later now. The 3 Nazis are still standing at the open door of the deserted cabin, staring out into the darkness. Then the colonel turns sharply, glares at Darrell.
What was that you said, Darrell?
I was just repeating what Dover said before you murdered him.
It's true, Herr Colonel. That's what he did say. The earth will not hide me. And there he is out of his grave, lying there.
Shut up. Fine Nazi you are. A fine example of the Africa Corps. Listening to the ravings of a savage and believing them. Schmidt, where did you bury the Indian? In the sand. Then this wind came along and blew the sand away. And that's all.
And that strange me?
Another trick of the wind. But if it bothers you to see him lying there, go on out and bury him again. Deeper this time.
No, Herr Colonel, no.
Now, that's an order.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel.
Friend Schmidt seems to be getting a bit rattled.
That's why I sent him out there. Nothing like facing a fear to overcome it.
Colonel Ulrich, do you not think it is about time that Schmidt came back?
He's only been gone about 5 or 10 minutes. I told him to dig the grave deep this time.
I know, but I do not see him out there anywhere.
Well, how could you expect to when it's so dark and when the sand is blowing like that? Maybe we'd better go out and see what's taking him so long. And you too, Mr. Darrell, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Schmidt! Schmidt, where are you? Blasted idiot. Probably wandered off into the desert. Schmidt!
Ulrich, look. The Indian. He is still lying there. He never did bury him.
That means Schmidt never even got over there. Must have lost his way right after he got outside. Schmidt!
I think you can save your breath, Colonel Ulrich. Come on over here. To the well.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Schmidt. Dead.
Well, why are you looking at me like that, Brenner? Exactly as I said. He lost his way in the darkness, the sandstorm, fell down the well.
Yeah, I guess that is what must have happened.
As for you, Mr. Darrell, since you discovered Schmidt, you shall have the pleasure of burying your friend the Indian again.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel.
I'm sorry. I never did appreciate the American type of humor. Now get busy with that shovel.
May I just point out that while it's easy for you to knock me down when my hands are tied, it's not so easy for me to use a shovel.
Oh, I intend to untie you. But please remember always that I have a gun, and that Brenner and I have every intention of getting away from here. I'm happy to see that you've stopped pacing the floor and looking out the window, Mr. Darrow. That means you've stopped expecting something miraculous to happen that will save you.
Is that what you think it means?
Frankly, no. In fact, I think just the opposite. You're looking much more cheerful than before. You're thinking one of them is dead. Now it will be that much easier to get away. It really pains me to disillusion you. Schmidt was a sergeant, a fool. I can assure you that neither Brenner nor myself are going to be bothered by strange noises or tricks of the wind. Right, Brenner?
Of course not, Colonel.
Good. And now, if we're to make an early start, I think we should get some rest. Brenner, you take the first watch and wake me at midnight. I advise you to get some rest, too, Darrell. Maybe you'll be able to dream of some way of escaping.
Thanks. But I'm not sleeping.
As you wish. Good night.
Quite a character.
He was one of the best soldiers in the Africa Corps.
Yeah? Where's Africa Corps now? Where are you? This isn't Africa, Brenner. This is America. This is a part of America where strange things happen. Things that even the Indians can't explain.
Indians. Ignorant savages. That devilish music again. Where does it come from?
I thought you said it was the wind. Or was it Ulrich that said that?
It must be the wind. It must.
Though you bury me deep, the earth will not hide me till you pay for your crimes.
What is that?
That was what Tova said just before you killed him.
Schmidt was first, Brenner. You will be next. I'm waiting, Brenner. Waiting.
You
Waiting.
heard it too?
Yeah. I heard it.
You're lying. You're lying, I say. You're just trying to frighten me.
What? Who's trying to frighten you? What's going on?
It is nothing here, Colonel. Just that music again. For a moment, it sounded as if someone was calling my name.
Someone was calling your name, Brenner. The dead man. And you know you heard it.
So,
There it is again. You hear it?
Just that same noise, the wind.
Look, Ulrich, look. That Indian. He's out of his grave again.
How can you tell? It's too dark to see.
But I know he is. I know it.
I'm very disappointed in you, Brenner. You're losing your grip, slipping.
I'm sorry, Herr Colonel. It is just displaced, the nervous tension, the mating.
Just being sorry isn't enough. Fear is a weakness. As much of a weakness as pity. You know that as Nazis we cannot tolerate either one. And you also know what you must do, don't you?
No. No, Herr Colonel. No.
You must face your fear and overcome it. You must go out there and prove to yourself that you are not afraid. That you've just been imagining things the way Schmidt did.
But Schmidt...
Schmidt was a fool, and he had an accident. You are an officer, and you will not have an accident. Now go ahead and convince yourself that this is all nonsense.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel.
But leave the gun with me. What's out there is imaginary, but Mr. Darrell is very real. If I didn't have a gun, he might get ideas.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel. Here. I will be back in a few minutes.
You're looking at me very strangely, Mr. Darrell. Perhaps now you're starting to understand the fiber of the Nazi character. And perhaps now you're beginning to realize why you can never win this war. Because we allow nothing to defeat us or stand in our way. Any sign of weakness is ruthlessly stamped out. And... Abel! God, what's that?
Sounded to me like Brenner.
Outside, quick. And don't try to get away or I'll shoot you down in your tracks.
Okay. Which way?
Towards the cliff, where we buried the Indian. That's where he went, and... What's that over there?
My guess is that it's your friend, Brenner. Maybe you'd better make sure.
It is Brenner. Dead. Strangled.
So it was all imagination, huh? Just face your fear and overcome it. Aren't you feeling just a little frightened, Colonel?
No. No. There's some rational explanation for everything that happened. Look. The Indian. He is out of his grave again. And that's the answer. He wasn't dead. But this should take care of him. There. And you will notice that even at a moment like this, I look ahead. 1 shot before and 4 now. That still leaves 1 bullet for you, if it should prove necessary.
You think of everything, don't you?
Yes, my friend, everything. Now get into that car. We're not going to wait until morning. We're leaving here right now.
I thought you had everything figured out. You weren't frightened.
What's that?
What's what?
That noise, that music. It's like the music we heard after we killed the Indian.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, but you must hear it. You must. Listen. It's coming from over there.
For the evil you have done, evil will follow you like a hungry wolf. Though you bury me deep, the earth will not hide me till you have paid for your crimes.
Did you hear that? Did you hear it?
Yeah. I heard it.
Here where you have killed, here too will you die.
No. You're dead. You're dead, I tell you. I killed you.
First Schmidt, then Brenner, now you.
But you're dead, I tell you. And the dead don't speak. I can't be really hearing you unless... Mad. No. I can't let that happen. I can't. There's one way. The Nazi way. A way to fool you all. This is why you'll never beat us. Never. Never.
Toby! Toby! Where are you?
Over here. At the foot of the cliff.
Are you all right?
That first bullet creased my head. I was already dropping by the time he fired. Outside of that, I'm all right.
Figured that was what had happened when Schmidt went down the well. I knew it was an accident.
I was pretty happy that it was you that buried me the second time. That you put my face against the cliff, left a hole for me to breathe. The first time, well, it was pretty tough until the wind blew the sand off.
Yeah, but what about when he shot you again? That ungodly music.
It wasn't me he shot that second time. It was Schmidt. I pulled his body out of the well. I figured that in the dark, no one would be able to tell the difference. As for the music, that's why I dug the grave here. You see these holes here in that cliff? My people drilled them centuries ago. The wind blows through them. Makes weird music. This bottom hole was blocked up, but I opened it while I was digging the grave.
Talking of graves, there's 3 of them we should be digging right now. Just one more thing I'd like to ask you, Toby.
What's that?
What you said this morning. Those 3 buzzards flying together toward the west. Does it really mean 3 deaths?
There were 3 deaths. Weren't there, Dan?
Better boy, Toby. Never give a Nazi an even break. Unless it's in the neck. As for our 3 visiting murderers, they may not like our sense of humor, but they can't complain about our poetic justice. After all, it was in the desert that they got their just deserts. Well, Mary Bennett, did you like the desert with its sand and wind and weird music? Would you like to live there?
Well, I wouldn't mind so much. You know, I believe a woman can make a good home in some pretty out-of-the-way places, the way the old-time housewives did. But, well, I'd want to lay in a supply of good modern food. Food that's easy to make, like Lipton's noodle soup. Say, that noodle soup of Lipton's would really put some cheer in the desert, wouldn't it?
Yes, of course, Mary, of course. Remind me to take Lipton's with me on my next safari. We must have a word of advice. Here it is. If you should wake up one of these nights in a cold sweat, convinced that there's something or someone in your room, and if, when you look toward the window, you should see a strange figure silhouetted in the moonlight, then pull the blankets up over your head and don't look out again. It'll be one of our 3 friends from tonight's story, one of the Africa corpses. By the way, this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel is Puzzle for Puppets by Patrick Quentin. Well, now I guess it's time to close that there squeaking door until next week at this same time. So until next Tuesday night. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
Folks, here we are outside the squeaking door. And I guess we're all pretty thirsty after all that talk about deserts. Well, I know just the thing that'll put us back to normal again. It's Lipton tea. Yes, a cup of that brisk Lipton tea would do just fine. And did you notice that word brisk? B-R-I-S-K. It's a mighty important word in tea language. The tea experts always use it. It means that Lipton tea has a lively flavor, never wishy-washy. That's why most folks prefer Lipton's to any other kind. Don't forget, that's Lipton tea. And don't forget to tune in again next Tuesday night to Inner Sanctum.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries, starring Lee Bowman. evening, friends. This is your host, Raymond. Welcome to the Inner Sanctum. Come in, won't you? What are you staring at? The walls. Well, you know that old saying about walls having ears. Well, these walls have eyes and a nice assortment of fingers and hands. One of them has a heart, but you can't beat that. Don't mind me, friends. In my old age, I'm getting to be a bit of a gore.
You're getting to be a crotchety old bachelor, that's what.
Who said that? Oh, Mary Bennett. Hello. Tell me, Mary, do you think I should get married? You know, I used to have a girlfriend, but she threw me over. She was a vampire. She said I wasn't her blood type.
Mr. Raymond, please, what a silly thing to say. More and more, I'm convinced that what you need is a wife. I'd just love to see the way a wife would handle you.
Would you send me a wedding present, Mary?
I sure would. I'd send you a big supply of Lipton's noodle soup. You know, I'll bet your wife would appreciate that. My goodness, in the old days, it took a woman all day to make a pot of noodle soup, whereas nowadays it only takes a jiffy. That is, when you use Lipton's noodle soup mix. But Lipton's has got the same homemade taste, believe you me. It's got the same chickeny flavor. Yes, sir, a hot plate of Lipton's noodle soup is a grand welcome home for the whole family. One whiff of that savory Lipton's noodle soup, and folks feel relaxed and ready for dinner with a rousing good appetite.
Well, now, that's a very pretty picture, Mary. Which reminds me, our story tonight is about one of the fine arts, murder. It's called Death is an Artist, an original tale by Frederick Matho. And our star is from Hollywood, Lee Bowman, soon to appear with Rita Hayworth in the Columbia Technicolor picture Tonight and Every Night. So, curdle close to the fire and turn the lights down real low. By the way, if you have a little spook or two in your home, looking behind your shower curtains before turning on the water is the courteous thing to do. Otherwise, you might be dampening your spirits. Now let's get on with our story.
I'm Stevie, a reporter. I'm what's called a police reporter because I hang around police stations for my stories. But tonight, I'm the best reporter in the world because I've got that kind of a story that's only given to one writer in 1,000, once in a lifetime. This story begins with the end of a man's life. Yesterday, an old man living alone with his 5 cats on an abandoned barge under the Brooklyn Bridge cut off the heads of 4 of his cats, then expertly slit his own throat from ear to ear. At 6 o'clock on the morning we got the flash about this old man, I was playing cribbage with Mike, my police pal, at the station house squad room. Burke, the desk captain, was snoring his head off. Okay, Mike, there it is. Go, 121 points. That last run made it.
You're the luckiest jerk, Stevie.
We're both lucky. Not a call the whole night.
Sure hate to drive out to anything in this blizzard. Uh-oh.
Police, 84th Precinct, Brooklyn. What? Yeah. Wait, say that slower. You haven't seen him in a week. His cats ain't around. Oh, but lady... Huh? Blood in the snow. Well, that's different, sure. Yeah, okay, thanks.
What's up, Captain?
Some dame passes an old barge down the foot of the bridge on her way to work every day. Says an old bum lives there with his cats.
Don't tell me I gotta rescue a cat now.
No, this coot talks to her real polite every morning. But she ain't seen him in a week. Today she goes to look close like and finds blood in the snow near the door.
So we go see. Well, probably went south for the winter. Coming along, Stevie?
Yeah, but I don't like it. Burke mentioned cats, and I hate cats. And I hate people who keep cats.
Well, this is it, I guess. Come on, Stevie.
Hey, look, Mike. There's a snowman.
So what? Haven't you ever seen a snowman?
Yeah, but look. That's not an ordinary snowman. It's a beautifully sculptured head of a woman made out of snow.
Ah, come on. It's cold. Let's get inside this scow here. Hey, open up. Open up there. Open up inside.
There is blood out here, Mike. Look. See? Here's where the woman's footprints stop.
Okay, Sherlock. Help me bust this door. Okay.
Oh, what's the matter with you?
Look on the floor.
Holy mackerel. 1, 2, 3, 4 cats with their heads cut off. And another one. Alive.
Hey, where are you going?
I told you I can't stand them dead or alive. One of them clawed me when I was a kid.
Stevie, get a load of this over here on the bed. He did a good job. From ear to ear.
He had done a good job. He was naked to the waist, and his hairy torso was bathed in blood. His head lay to one side and was nearly severed at the throat. His mouth, a strangely sensitive mouth, hung foolishly open in the middle of a matted mass of beard. But it was his eyes that stirred something inside me. They were coal-black agates that smoldered with defiance, even in death. They seemed to carry a message only I was meant to see. I turned away and stumbled over a small wooden box. It contained clay fragments. An impulse seized me, and I carried the box outside.
What do you want that box of trash for?
I'm not sure. I just feel I ought to take it along. Mind?
Just junk. These bums collect the screwiest stuff. Come on, I'll drop you off at your paper. You'll get a news beat on this anyhow.
Okay, Mike. Thanks. I'll call you later to see if you identify the old bird.
All right, Stevie. Hey, here's that box of junk. You want it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Mike. I wrote the item. All we could learn was that he was Ivan. No fingerprints on record, no relatives, just Ivan. So he stayed just Ivan to 250,000 readers and to the police. But to me, he was a man who had not yet died. I poked through the rubble of clay in the box, and I was about to throw the whole mess out when a time-blackened metal tag caught my eye. It was the kind of tag used to mark paintings or statues. It read, Agatha, January 2nd, 1924. 20 years ago, today. And below that was a name, Ivan Thorne. The name jangled a bell in my memory. It frightened me. It fascinated me. I rummaged in the box some more. A hunch grew to certainty. Ivan Thorne had been a sculptor. Here was a fragment of clay, a nose. Here, part of a chin. Here, an ear, a woman's ear. And the snow image of a woman's head came to mind. Why did Ivan Thorne, a sculptor of obvious talent, do a head of a woman named Agatha in clay, then on the same date, 20 years later, as a bum, reproduce it in snow and slit his throat? I found the answer in the yellowed clippings of the newsroom morgue. The story of Ivan Thorne was filed under Murders Unsolved. After I'd read the story, I marched into GC's office.
Hey, what's up, Stevie? They study the Brooklyn Bridge again?
No. You read the item on the old guy I found with his throat cut?
Sure. Cut off his cat's heads, then his own, unidentified. Good item.
I know who he is. Was.
Yeah? Story?
Story. You got time to listen?
Shoot.
Well, this begins in a sculptor's studio off Washington Square on a stormy night long ago. Ivan Thorne and Agatha, his wife, were having words.
For the last time, Agatha. Are you really going through with this
divorce foolishness?
For the last time, yes. I'm tired of living from hand to mouth. I'm tired of your stupid statues. I'm tired of your stupid cats. I'm tired of you.
All right. I'll give you the divorce. You can marry Greg Stevens. He'll give you everything you want. But Horace stays with me. I want custody of the boy.
The court will decide that.
Agatha, I've been working on that head of you for a year. It's good. I think the museum
Oh, that thing? It doesn't even come close to looking like me.
Of course, that head isn't you. It's what I remember you as when I first met you.
Ivan, let go of me. You're hurting me.
All right. I'll let go of you. But I'm going to finish that head, Agatha. And you're going to help me.
I will not.
You'll get your divorce. Only if you agree in writing to pose me one day each month for 6 months. I must finish it.
6 months, hmm? And what about Horace?
He's away at school all the time. We'll let the court decide a decent arrangement.
All right, Ivan, I'll do that. Give me that pen. Here. I, Agatha Thorne, agree to pose for a sculptured head by Ivan Thorne on the first day of each month for 6 months. Signed, Agatha Thorne. There you are.
Now, get out. Get out before I break your neck. She's gone. She's gone. But I'll see her again. 6 more times. That's all I need. 6 more times.
Sounds to me like this Ivan guy is working up a neat little catastrophe.
Mr. Raymond.
Yes, Mary.
I got to thinking about that snowman they found. Did you ever make a snowman?
Oh, sure, and I cut off his head for a souvenir. Kept it in the icebox over the summer.
And you're teasing me, Mr. Raymond. But you know, when I was a child, we used to spend all afternoon making a snowman. And then we'd go in the house for supper with our cheeks red as a frost apple and with a real country appetite. The house was so warm and cozy. Yes, and filled with all the exciting smells of good cooking. You know how children are. They play in the snow and then come in ready to eat you out of house and home. And I've got a grand suggestion for these winter night suppers. Lipton's Noodle Soup Mix. It's such a heartening dish. Thrifty, too. Costs a lot less than canned soups. Yes, Lipton's Noodle Soup just seems to belong to folks young and old who've got a healthy appetite and a yen for homemade, chickeny-tasting soup.
Mary.
Yes, Mr. Raymond?
Mr. Bowman is waiting to resume his part of the young police reporter, Stevie. That's right. You remember, Stevie told his editor that Ivan was divorced by his wife, Agatha, 20 years ago, and how the events that followed turned the sculptor into the tired old bum he was when he slit his throat under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Well, Stevie, did Agatha get her divorce?
Yes, and the court gave her custody of their 6-year-old kid, Horace. She married Greg Stevens, and according to these clippings, she kept her agreement with Thorne. She posed for the head he was doing of her so that he could finish it.
The first day of each month for 6 months, huh?
Yeah.
How'd he take the divorce and losing his kid and all?
Beautifully. So everybody thought. It got to be the talk of the town. The three of them, Agatha, Greg, and Ivan, seemed to get along fine together. The Stevenses were frequent callers at Thorne's studio.
Oh, I say, Thorne, why won't you show me the head you're making of Agatha? It isn't fair, you know.
Not till it's finished, Greg. You wouldn't appreciate it as it is now.
It really is good, Ivan. When will you finish it?
Yes, Ivan, when?
I want to finish it on New Year's Day. That will be the last time you need pose, Agatha. Can you make it that day?
Well, I'll just have to, won't I?
Yes. At 3 o'clock?
At 3 o'clock. Come on, Greg, darling.
Good night, Ivan.
Good night, Ivan. My goodness, 6 months goes by so fast, doesn't it?
6 months. I gave them 6 months. Monday, it's over. Monday is the last day she poses for me. Monday, I'll finish that head. I love her. And for 6 months, 6 centuries, she belonged to that idiot. He took my son from me. You can't hear me, Agatha. Can you? This is you and Clay. You can't hear me. Everybody thinks it's wonderful that Ivan Thorne is such a good sport about it. I fooled them all. I fooled you. Yes.
Then he really was out of his mind, Stevie, this Ivan guy.
Sure, but with a madman's cunning, he disguised it well. At that point, only his cats knew it, I guess. New Year's Day, 1924, was a howling wintry day. Neighbors later testified to seeing Ivan's massive frame, coat flailing open in the wind, eyes staring, unblinking, as he turned into his building. It was the last time they saw him. In his studio, Ivan kicked his door shut and began talking to Agatha's statue, as he'd gotten into the habit of doing now for some time.
I'll set the table by the fire, Agatha, just as we always did. You like that. And I'll set a place for little Horace. Oh, I know you don't want him to come here, but we'll just make believe, huh? Agatha, I must pull myself together. Happy New Year, Agatha. Come in, come in.
And the same to you, Ivan. Oh, let me get to that fire quickly. I'm frozen up. Why are you bolting the door?
The draft rattles the door. Here, give me a coat. Now, how about a bite? By the fire?
Why, Ivan. How quaint. Just like old times, hmm?
This is the last time you'll come to pose. Have you minded living up to our agreement?
No, Ivan. You've been very decent about it. But tell me, why are you so set on finishing the head you're doing of me?
Have you ever seen a human skull, Agatha? Ugly thing. Long after that pretty head of yours becomes a skull, the head I'm making of you will live in ageless bronze. That's why I'm so anxious to finish this work.
I see. Well, shall we start, Ivan? Ivan, you're not working. You're just staring at me.
I'm studying the line of your neck, darling. It eludes me.
Well, hurry, please. I've sat here for 2 hours now. I'm tired.
I'll be finished soon. Then you can rest, darling. Then you can rest.
Ivan, you're looking at me as though... Ivan!
You've moved your head again, darling. Here, let me show you. There. So. Just like this. Don't move, Agatha. My fingers are loose on your throat. But in a split second, I can sink them into you tight. Like this.
Don't...
I've loved you more in these few months you've been away from me than I ever did before. I'll always love you. But if I can't have you, no one else can.
Ivan, you're mad. You can't...
I gave you 6 months with that fool because I wasn't sure. I thought I could get over losing you and the boy. But I can't.
We all thought you were...
Resigned.
No. Even now, I don't know if I want to kill you, Agatha. I'm not sure.
No, you don't. You know you don't. Think of Horace. Your son.
I am thinking of you, little fool.
Oh, Greg. Greg, help me.
Greg. You've got the nerve to speak his name here. Now. You want Gregory.
Agatha, I did it. But you made me do it. How beautiful you are. Dead. Look at this clay head. Agatha, see. I was wrong. You're much more beautiful. I've changed my mind. I don't want fame. I don't want a statue. I want you. See, Agatha, I've broken it, smashed it. It's Greg Stevens who should die. He did all this to us. Yes. I'll go see Greg. That's it. But I must be careful now. I must make Greg suffer. Oh. I have it. Yes. He must know that he, too, has lost Agatha.
Wow, that's some yarn, Stevie. He actually strangled Agatha, huh? What happened then?
He left his studio and called at the Stevens' house a little after 6. Greg Stevens and young Horace were the only ones there, except for the butler. He testified that Ivan quietly asked to see Stevens alone. He had a bundle in his arms, covered with a piece of black velvet, when Gregory greeted him.
Ivan, well, glad to see you and Happy New Year to you. But where's Agatha? She was supposed to be with you.
She'll turn up shortly. Said something about a girlfriend she had to stop by for.
Oh, I see. Well, come on in, Ivan. We can have a glass of sherry while we wait.
Thanks.
Put your package down somewhere on the table here.
Thank you.
Did you get a lot done today? On the head, I mean?
Yes. I've finished it.
Oh, good. Say, that wouldn't be it in that box, would it?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is.
Well, good heavens, man, let me see it. I've been kept from all this long enough. Now that it's finished,
wait. Till Agatha gets here. I'm going away for a while, Stevens. Before I go, I want you to tell me something. Do you love Agatha? A lot, I mean.
A lot? I worship her. I adore her.
You know what you did to me when you took Agatha and my boy from me?
Well, the choice was hers. I'm glad for my sake. I'm sorry for you. But I thought you were resigned by now.
Resigned? You poor fool. I've lived a life of raging hate for you.
Ivan, sit down.
You don't have to be sorry for me anymore, Greg. You can start feeling sorry for yourself.
Thorne, what are you driving at?
Everything comes out even, Greg. Come over here.
What's in that box?
Come closer, Greg. Here. I'll take the cloth off. See for yourself.
Agatha! You fiend! You beast, I'll kill you!
Hurts, doesn't it, Greg? Hurts to lose Agatha. Doesn't it?
I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
Oh, you won't! Get away from me. You won't kill me. I won't kill you. We'll both live to remember.
Thorne didn't kill Stevens?
No, G.C. He knocked him out. They found his footprints in the snow along with the kids. He must have stopped to say goodbye.
What a story. He slit his throat this morning as a bum on a barge.
Yeah. Took his cats with him. The clay fragments I found in that box on the barge were all that was left of the clay head of Agatha.
Nobody even found out how he got away or managed to stay hidden for 20 years?
No. That's his secret.
Well, write it up, stupid.
I can't. I won't, G.C. You can't print that story.
The devil I can't. Where's this Greg Stevens? Where's Horace the kid? Find him.
Greg Stevens died penniless and insane a year later. His kid was raised in an orphan asylum.
Well, find the kid. Now, let's see. He'd be about 26 today. Maybe he doesn't know any of these things. What a scoop. Get busy.
Look, you can't print this story. Why do you think I didn't write it up and hand it in? I feel sorry for the kid. I was raised in an asylum.
A story's a story.
What do I have to do? Draw you a diagram, GC? Why do you call me Stevie?
Well, because your name is Stevens, I guess. And, good heavens. You don't mean...
Yes. My name is Stevens. I never use my first name. I don't like it. It's Horace.
That's right. You're Horace Stevens.
Yes. My father was Ivan Thorne.
You have a little sculptor in your home. Better take his modeling away from him. Might grow up to be a bust. That's enough to give anybody the creeps.
It certainly is, Mr. Raymond.
Mary Bennett. Say, didn't you like our story tonight?
Well, it was exciting, all right, but why don't you tell stories about normal, happy people? Of course, folks like that never get murdered or anything, but interesting things happen to them. Nice things, too.
Like discovering Lipton's noodle soup, huh, Mary?
Well, why not? Lipton's noodle soup is a good way to brighten up a meal, and good meals are a mighty important part of life. So, folks, maybe you've tried other envelope soups, but if you've never tried Lipton's noodle soup, you've got something real nice ahead of you, because Lipton's is the favorite noodle soup of them all.
Our moral for tonight is don't drive alone. If you have a car, lucky you, form a carpool. Then, if you should have a flat tire, you'll be among friends on that cold, cold highway. Fun, huh? And Uncle Sam says join a carpool, too. He's not kidding. He says your carpool will help save gas and tires, so look to it, Max. Yes, this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel is Net of Cobwebs by Elizabeth Sanksay Holding. Oh, yes, and you won't forget to look for Lee Bowman with Rita Hayworth and the Columbia Technicolor picture Tonight and Every Night. Well, now it's time to say goodnight until next week at the same time when Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup again present another Inner Sanctum mystery directed by Hyman Brown. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
Folks, I got to thinking about wintertime, about snowmen and frost pictures on the windows, and about how cozy a house can be when there's a gale blowing outside. And then I got to thinking about Lipton tea, because a cup of Lipton's, the tea with that brisk flavor, really hits the spot. It's so cheerful and warming. You know, the word brisk, B-R-I-S-K, means that Lipton tea has a fresh, lively flavor. It's never thin or wishy-washy. That's why Lipton's is America's favorite tea. So don't forget to ask for it when you go to the grocery store. And don't forget to tune in next Tuesday night for another Inner Sanctum mystery.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup presents Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is your host, Raymond, inviting you once again to join our scary company. Please come in, won't you? We have a full quiver of shivers this evening, and what? You say it's rather cold in here. Well, some of the chills of our story must have leaked out. Why don't you all huddle together? There's so much comfort in having someone else beside you instead of being besides yourself.
Now, Mr. Raymond, that's no way to welcome people. You're apt to chase them away talking so scary-like.
What? Oh, hello, Mary Bennett. So, you don't think I'm a good host, huh? Maybe I should say, lay your little head on a pillow. Are you comfy? There. Now, Uncle Raymond will drone you to sleep with a bedtime story, and when you wake up, Aunt Mary will give you a nice hot plate of Lipton's noodle soup.
Oh, dear. There's just no talking to you. Folks, please don't listen to the way he talks about Lipton's noodle soup. Try it for yourself. You just don't know how good noodle soup can be until you've tasted Lipton's. It's got such a grand chickeny flavor. It really tastes homemade. And then, of course, Lipton's noodle soup comes in a package, so it's no work to prepare. You just empty it into boiling water, and in a jiffy, soup's on. And another thing, Lipton's makes lots more and costs less than canned soups.
Well, thanks for the hot facts, Mary. And here's a fact for you. Did you know that more than 2/3 of the Earth's entire surface is unknown? The salty wastes of the sea? Only a short distance under the surface, death lurks in 100 different shapes. And that's where we're going to take you tonight in Robert Newman's strange story of Death in the Depths. A wharf in a small seaside town a few minutes before midnight. Moored to the dock, just barely visible through the thick fog, is a stubby, broad-beamed ship. Suddenly, out of the swirling mist, a man and woman appear. He is tall, heavy-set, carries a sea bag over his shoulder. She's slim, attractive. They reach the end of the dock, and he stops, his face haggard.
I can't do it, Leila. I just can't. That's all there's to it.
Stop arguing and get on board there.
I'm telling you, I can't, Leila. I can't. Why even think about it? The way the water looks down under. Feel of it pressing against you.
And I'm telling you that you're going, whether you like it or not. 2 years of living in crummy second-rate rooming houses. That's plenty, see? Too much. You're going back to doing something that really pays off.
But, Leila,
I told you to shut up. Now stop squawking and let's go aboard.
Okay. Hi there, the Gasca Bay. Is Captain Brody around?
I'm Brody. Come aboard.
Evening, Captain. My name's Farrell. This is my wife.
Hello.
I understand you're going off on a job and you're looking for divers.
Well, yes, I am. We've got a salvage job off the Keys. It's a tough one, 20 fathoms. We only use real deep water men. What did you say your name was again?
Farrell. Steve Farrell.
You mean Big Steve Farrell? Why don't you say so? Sure, I can use you. Wait right there. I'll go get the paper.
Okay, Captain.
Well, was that so tough?
Leila, for heaven's sakes, don't make me do it. You don't know what you're asking me to do it. It's like sending me... Leila. Did you hear that? 9 bells.
What of it?
What of it? There's no such thing as 9 bells. It's like a clock striking 13 o'clock. And it means death. The only other time I ever heard it was when Curly...
Listen, I'm getting sick of this, see? You don't want to do any more diving because you've lost your nerve. And because a bell rings 9 times instead of 8, you say it means something. Well, what do you think it would mean if I told the police a couple of things I know? I'll tell you. It would mean the chair. Now, how do you like that?
Leila, you don't know. You don't know.
Take care of yourself, Stevie boy. I'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Feeling pretty good, aren't you? I think you're getting just what you want. Well, maybe you are. Because when I sign those papers, I won't be signing on as a diver. I'll be signing my own death certificate.
I'm all set, Captain. Any instructions before they close me up?
No, Steve. Can't expect much on a first dive, but see if you can determine the extent of the damage. All we know about her now is that she's about 1,500 ton. Her name was the Santa Elena. She went down in a collision.
Right, Captain.
Okay, close them up. Start the pumps. Lower away.
I'm scared. Scared. I swore I'd never go down again. But here I am. It's all just the way I remembered it. Nothing at first but the quiet. Just the pumps like the echo of your heart beating. And the light fading as you go down. Getting darker. And the cold. The pressure building up. Pressing harder and harder. Gripping you tighter and tighter as if you were being swallowed by something alive. Always down below where you can't see it. Something weighty. Something that... Stop it. Gotta stop it. It was a time when I really used to like diving. When did it all begin? This fear. Yes, that night in the bar in Tampa. She told me she married Curly.
Well, this is certainly quite an evening you're giving me, Steve. It's more like a wake than a celebration. Why are you looking at me like that?
Wondering whether I should kill you. Whether I should talk to Curly and let him do it.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. You know Curly. You ever found out how things go with you and me? Well, he's just young enough and crazy enough about you to put you away for keeps.
I can handle Curly with my little finger. And besides, you wouldn't do anything like that.
Wouldn't I? Why'd you meet me here tonight? You know it's because you wish you were married to me instead of him.
So what? What are you going to do about it? You know darn well he'll never let me go.
No. I guess he won't, but... We've got to do something.
Yeah, but what?
After all, he works for me. Diving's kind of dangerous. As a matter of fact, we're getting off on a job tomorrow that's pretty tricky.
Steve.
When you want something badly enough, there's always a way of getting it. Yeah, that was the beginning. That wasn't when I was afraid for the first time. That came later. 2 days later, out on the reefs. 2 days of being with Curly and talking to him. Knowing all the time what I was going to do. And that last dive, late in the afternoon. Standing on deck with Andy, the pump man, and watching Curly through the clear water. Watching her move across the deck of the Hulk. As cool as she was, and...
You going down too, Steve?
Yeah, Andy. Maybe we can wind up today and start home tomorrow. You can handle both of us?
Sure. Only watch the coral over on the port side there, sharp as a razor. Almost took Curly's boot off this morning. If you get into any trouble, well, I'm all alone up here.
I'll watch you. Want to button me up?
Yeah, sure.
Going down then. Just the way I'm going down now. But I still wasn't afraid. Not yet. I was too busy figuring out just how I was going to do it. And landing on the bottom and starting to work my way toward the Hulk, over the coral. There was Curly's hose and safety line, lying on the coral, snaking its way to the Hulk where he was working. I didn't have to look up. You could tell by the shadow I was under the hull of our ship, so Andy couldn't see me. And I came to a place where Curly's line was lying right next to a coral spur.
And I knew that was it. I bent down, looked it around the spars so Andy couldn't pull him up.
Hello, Curly. Curly, try your line. I think it's fouled.
Then I did it. Took out my knife and cut Curly's air hose. Andy must have known it even before Curly did. As soon as the bubble started pouring out of the end of the hose.
Hello, Curly. Can you still hear me? I think you're in trouble. Your airline's cut. Hold it and save whatever air you got. Steve's on the bottom, too. He'll get over to you. Did you hear, Steve?
Yeah, I heard. I'm going as fast as I can.
Steve, you gotta hurry. Where are you?
I just hit the deck, but it's clouded up and I can't see anything. Where's Curly?
Up forward, near the ship's bell. Listen, he says he's going to ring it so you can follow the sound. And for heaven's sake, hurry.
Follow the sound. As if I didn't know where he was. Straight forward. I could see him now, his lifeline taut, so we couldn't move. Holding his air hose with one hand and ringing the bell with the other. He was swaying back and forth. And I started counting the strokes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then he slid down onto the deck. The air bubbled out of his helmet, and I knew he was dead. I remember thinking, 9 bells. 1 bell after midnight. And suddenly it came over me that this was something I was never going to be able to forget. Never. But every time I went down, I was going to see him swaying there, hanging on to the bell, waiting for me. Waiting.
So that's why Steve Farrell wouldn't go back to his old profession of deep-sea diving. I should think it would lose some of its appeal if you expect to meet a dead man every time you go down. How about that, Mary? Climb aboard and tell us what you think.
Well, Mr. Raymond, I certainly wouldn't like to be a deep-sea diver. To be all alone down there in the cold water with fishes and all sorts of things swimming around you. That's not for me.
Oh, but just think, Mary, when you come up, you could have a nice hot plate of Lipton's noodle soup.
I think you've really got something there. Lipton's noodle soup would sure be welcome at a time like that. It's such a heartwarming dish. It perks you up just looking at it, looking at those tender noodles floating in that golden broth. My, I'm getting to talk fancy. But really, folks, Lipton's does taste sort of special. It's got a chickeny flavor, and it just tastes homemade, like the old-fashioned noodle soup you used to make yourself. But heavens, I don't want to be interrupting Mr. Raymond's story, so I'll just say, try Lipton's real soon, won't you, folks?
Now, shall I go on with the story of death in the depths of the sea? That strange underwater world where dead men ring their own death knell on the bells of sunken ships? Okay. It's just a moment later now. And Steve Farrell is still standing on the deck of the sunken freighter Santa Elena.
Oh, Steve, anything the matter?
Why, no, Captain. I'm sorry. I thought I heard something funny, and I guess I lost my nerve for a minute. After all, this is my first dive in quite a while, but I'm okay now.
You sure? We can haul you up, send Mike down.
No, I'm okay. I'm going to stay.
Well, all right, but don't forget we can't see you from up here. So keep talking all the time so we'll know exactly where you are and what you're doing.
Check. I'm up forward now on the port side of the deck. I'm just going inside. The companionway door is jammed shut, and I'm blinking on it. There she is. And now I'm inside in the car door. It's pretty dark. I'm switching on my light. I can see now, a little way ahead of me at least. It's all kind of queer.
Queer? How?
Just funny, strange. She's canted over on her starboard side, so the car is tipped over at an angle. Sort of like a dream where everything's turned around. Kind of different and still familiar. Why does it seem so familiar? It seems to remind me of something else. That's it. The corridor of the hotel right after we were married.
Walking down it with her, Leila. Out onto the terrace. The way she took the cigarette I gave her. Smiled at me. Very sure of herself.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks a lot.
Why the smile, baby?
Why shouldn't I smile? I'm young, healthy, and I'm married to a guy I like. A guy who's going to take real good care of me.
I sure am, baby. Not only that, from now on, things are going to be different. Didn't have a chance to tell you before, but I'm through with diving. For keeps.
What do you mean?
Just that. I sold the boat yesterday and all the equipment. I'm out of that racket for good.
You shouldn't have done that, Steve. Not without talking to me about it first. What do you expect to do from now on?
Oh, I'm all set on that. I got a job as a second engineer on a freighter, the Arcturus.
Well, I guess that'll be all right. For a while, anyway.
What do you mean, for a while? You think you're going to tell me what kind of work I should do and what kind I shouldn't do?
But of course, Steve. Like I said, I'm your wife. And besides, if I wanted to, I could tell either you or anyone else a lot of other things. Like why you decided to give up diving.
What are you talking about? Gave it up because I was sick of it.
Is that the reason? Or is it because you're afraid that if you did do any more diving, you might start seeing things?
Seeing what?
Well, after all, you were right there when Curly had his accident and got drowned. The funny thing is, you were talking about how he might have an accident just before you went off on that trip. I've been thinking I really ought to talk to Andy about it since he was there, too, and find out just how it happened.
Andy's not around anymore. He left town right after I paid him off.
Oh, I see. Well, remember that the police could probably find him, Steve, if they should ever want to ask him any questions.
Steve, what's the matter? Why don't you answer? Where are you?
What? I'm sorry, Captain. Nothing's the matter. I guess I was just thinking about something else, and I'm at the end of the corridor now. Just opening the door to the engine. I'm going across the gratings now and down the stairs. Funny. Something kind of familiar about all this. Pattern in the grills. Picture the stairs. Hey, Captain, what did you say the name of this tub was?
Santa Elena. Panamanian registry, I think. Why?
She kind of reminded me of another ship, the Arcturus. The Arcturus. What made me think of her? I know why. A year and a half in which I almost forgot about Curly. What had happened down there on the deck of the schooner. A year and a half in which I was almost happy, even with Leila. And that night, the night McHenry came up to me when I was on watch in the engine room.
Hi, Steve. How are they going?
Swell, Chief. I just cut number 2 in again, and she's purring like a kitten.
Good. Look, Steve, the old man claims he's a little bit heavy. He wants us to sound out the pumps and check the bilge. I told him he was crazy, but, well, maybe we'd better.
Okay, Chief, I'll get on it right away.
Anyone around to give you a hand?
I don't really need any help. But if I want him, Swanson's have someplace.
Well, report to me as soon as you're finished.
Right, Chief. Oh, there you are, Swanson. Hey, where you going? Come back here.
Go. Hey, wait.
Wait a minute. You're not Swanson. Who are you?
Hey, I'm nobody, Chief.
Stowaway, huh? Hiding down here behind the boiler.
Give me a break, will you, Chief? I ain't doing nobody any harm. Where I'll be. Steve, big Steve Farrell.
Andy. Andy Andrews.
And I wanted a break. This is terrific, Steve, like money in the bank.
What happened to you, anyway?
Oh, usual thing. Run of tough luck. Been out of work for about a year now. Look, Steve, I'm pretty hungry. I ain't had nothing to eat since we left port.
I guess I could pick up some stuff from the galley for you. But you'll have to be careful. It'd be the devil to pay if they found out I was hiding.
Good old Steve. I know you wouldn't let an old shipmate down. And, Steve, while we're at it, I could use a little cash, too.
Yeah, I figured that. Well, when we get to port, I guess I could let you have 10 or 20.
That's not enough. I was figuring on, like, 500 for a starter.
500? Are you nuts?
I don't think so, Steve. You see, after Curly had his little accident and you sold the boat and all the equipment, I figured you'd given up diving because you were kind of upset about it. Then I heard you'd married his widow, that Leela dame. I started thinking back. I remembered how Curly's air hose looked after we pulled him up. The place where it was cut wasn't rough, like it had been done by Coral. It was clean, like it had been done with a knife.
So that's it. Blackmail.
Oh, why do you have to use words like that, Steve?
Okay, Andy. It's going to be a little tough to get, but... Wait a minute.
What is it?
Someone's coming, one of the wipers. We got to find some place for you to hide. I know. Down there in the bilge. Here, climb in. Right down through that
Oh, but it's almost full of water.
There's plenty of room and you'll be safe there. Really safe.
Oh, okay, but you better not... Oh, what are you doing? Let go of me! Let go! Help! Help!
You'll be safe here, all right. I'll see to that. Stop struggling like that, Andy. It's not going to do you any good. And I'm in too deep already to let you go wandering around with what you know. And you weeks before they find you down here in the bilges. Maybe they never will. And if they do, they'll figure you tried to hide down there and got drowned all by yourself.
Hello, Steve. Steve, will you talk up and stop mumbling? Where are you now?
Down at the bottom of the ladder in the engine room. This light's not too good. The boilers are right in front of me. And seems to be some kind of a brass plate on the floor here. Captain! This isn't the Santa Elena. It's the Arcturus.
What are you talking about?
It is. Don't you understand it? It's the ship where I killed him. And he must still be down here. Down the bilges. Get me out of here. Pull me up.
Okay, Steve. Now take it easy. We'll get you up. Start hauling them up. Mike, you better go down there fast, see what the trouble is.
Hurry up, for heaven's sake. I think I see something moving back there. Behind the boilers. Hey, Brody. The bell. Ringing like it did when Curly. That means that he's here, too. The boat's here. Can't you get me out?
We're trying, but something's wrong with your line. Seems to be fouled. Now look, Steve. Try to get out yourself. Start working your way back along your line.
No good, Steve. You know that, don't you? You're here to stay.
Andy. It is you.
Sure, Steve. And I got a friend with me. A friend of yours, too. He's standing right next to you.
Curly.
We waited a long time, Steve. But now you're here with us. And now you're going to know exactly what it was like with both of us. You're going to know what it's like to drown.
Steve, why don't you answer? What's the matter? Steve, your lifeline and air hose, I think they're gone.
Hey, Curly, no. Let me go.
Too late, Steve. This is it. This is the way it was with us. Trying to fight it first, holding your breath. Then, when you can't fight it any longer, letting go. The water rushing into your mouth, nose. You choke at first, try to fight some more. Then everything starts to go black, and you relax. There are lights moving in the darkness, and suddenly you feel very peaceful and very free. Peaceful and very free.
Did you find him, Mike? Yeah. He was right where you said. Down in the engine room. They're hauling him up now.
It's going to be tough breaking the news to his wife. How did it happen?
There's a heavy iron door leading into the engine room. It swung shut, cut his lifeline and air hose. You're saying an awful lot of stuff that didn't make sense, but there was something about a bell. Well, his lifeline was looped around the bell on the foredeck. Must have gotten caught when you tried to pull him up. And that may have rung the bell a few times. There was something else, though. You remember you said he kept asking if the ship's name was really the Santa Helena? Yeah? Well, there was a brass plate in the engine room with her original name on it. And it was the Arcturus. Yeah, they must have changed it when they re-registered her. Yeah, that is funny. There's one thing that's even funnier. Well, of course, the whole thing was an accident, but I wonder what made that door close.
Oh, you do, huh? Even with two able-bodied ghosts about? But that's the way we like to leave you, with a couple of things to keep you wondering. And when we do, then we've known we've really rung the bell, the funeral bell.
Oh, Mr. Raymond, with all the different kinds of bells there are, why do you have to talk about that kind?
All right, Mary. Pick your own bell, see if I care.
All right, then I'll choose a dinner bell.
Will you ring it 9 times? Huh?
No, sir. You only have to ring it once if you're serving Lipton's noodle soup. And folks will come swarming to the table, because they know it takes Lipton's to show how good a noodle soup can be.
Now, before I close the inner sanctum, here's a word of advice. If you should have nightmares tonight about drowning men and wake up with a start and see a strange figure in your room, a figure with staring eyes and seaweed in its hair, dripping water on the floor, don't be alarmed. Just ask it for its haunting license. Brother. By the way, this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel is Net of Cobwebs by Elizabeth Sanksay Holding. Now it's time to really close that squeaking door until next week at this same time, when Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present another Inner Sanctum mystery, directed by Hyman Brown. So until then, good night. Pleasant dreams.
Folks, I don't know how you feel, but that spooky bell gave me the shivers. Right now, I'd like to hear a cheerful sound that'd make me forget all about it. Yes, I'd like to hear a tea kettle singing on the stove. And when that water is at a good rolling boil, let's have a cup of Lipton tea. You know, the tea with the brisk flavor. That word brisk, B-R-I-S-K, means that Lipton's has a lively, full-bodied flavor. It never tastes flat or wishy-washy. So don't forget Lipton tea. And don't forget to tune in next Tuesday night for another Inner Sanctum mystery.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.